The entire American political establishment is against Trump, and he just won his fourth political victory, third legal victory, second Supreme Court victory. And so you have two Supreme Court decisions that went his way, in addition to a federal court decision upholding the Republicans, the Trump Republicans' ability to utilize federal funds for tax cuts to spur economic growth, which is something Democrats are apparently very much against. The wonderful infrastructure bill might grow GDP. There's a Wharton study that says, well, it might slightly increase GDP. Oh, wow, that's fantastic. And so President Trump just now, CNN, the trusted news and name, the article will be below in the description section. Supreme Court order ends congressional Democrats' attempts to determine if Trump lied in Mueller probe. This is phenomenal. This is like, share this segment everywhere. I give a unique perspective, a very unique perspective on what they're doing against former President Trump. What they're doing is the same thing they did to Bernie Sanders. The difference is that Bernie Sanders doesn't fight, and he's part of the same corrupt system that he claims to be against. Very much so, a part of it. But the Mueller probe was predicated upon the biggest lie of all time. You would have to have, one brain cell that, you'd have to have only one brain cell left, and that not even functioning, to believe that Trump worked with Russia to buy Facebook ads. It never happened. It was complete tinfoil hat nonsense. It was a fantasy, and then Democrats rightfully say, or media, oh, look at the message board. I told you about that absurd message board 3 years ago. So there are fantasies on the left and fantasies on the right. The difference is an absurd message board, obviously nobody should take seriously. And I told everyone that in 2018. I debated Jordan Sather, and I was the first person to say, look, this is a horrible thing. One of the first people to say it's a horrible thing. It's complete nonsense. Nobody should believe it. Watch the debate. It's complete and utter nonsense. Similarly, the LMNOP message board for apoplectic, morally superior liberals is Trump Russia. They believe anything that bolsters their existing biases. They don't, fact and reason have nothing to do with the absurd notion that Trump helped Putin, or Putin installed Trump because of Facebook ads that didn't sway or influence one voter. Not one person was influenced by a Facebook ad. We haven't seen the quote-unquote data or evidence. Then, of course, DNC servers were never looked at by the U.S. government, never evaluated. You know who told the U.S. government and Comey and others what they found on the DNC servers that linked that pointed to Russia infiltrating the Democrats? Oh, it was a third-party tech firm, just like Cyber Ninjas in Arizona, but different. Another interesting name, CrowdStrike, that Democrats outsourced. And they then said Comey's memos, James Comey stated that Trump wanted to end an investigation into General Michael Flynn, which should have been ended from the very beginning. The man didn't do anything wrong. They have utter contempt for Trump. The actual people, the people who commit crimes, whether it's Dianne Feinstein selling stocks right after a classified briefing, or Kelly Loeffler, or Richard Burr. I'm not a Republican. I like Trump because he wants to bring Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, the most important issue we face. The greatest issue we face as Americans in perpetual military conflict. That's the greatest issue by far. Democrats do not care. And it's not just Democrats. Conservatives who don't like Trump don't care either. I'm like, well, it's completely different. His personality's horrible. He's deranged. It's like, well, I'll take your viewpoint of a person who's deranged if he does good things, which Trump did. Very good things. But hit subscribe to this channel right now. Hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. This is absolutely fantastic. Supreme Court ends congressional Democrats' attempts to determine if Trump lied in Mueller probe. The Mueller probe was predicated upon a lie. The notion that he told Comey, or that he lied in some manner about a politicized, completely partisan probe. It was completely and utterly partisan. The fact that Republicans were a part of it is not a rebuttal at all. Republicans didn't want Trump either. That's why they lost Senate contests. They say, oh, Trump lost those Senate contests. No, they didn't. No, he didn't. The Republican Party has never come to terms with the fact that Trump controls it. Thank God. His populist message is infinitely better than the Bill Kristol Lincoln Project failed Bush-era message. Okay? Democrats used to oppose, well, not really, not Clinton or Kerry or Biden, but a very honorable man, Senator Max Cleland from Georgia, who the Lincoln Project went after and disparaged in the most despicable manner. But these are the conservative liberals of today's world. Like, all the people who used to be the worst example of political operatives are now firmly embedded within the Democratic Party. So Bernie Sanders and the Lincoln Project are on the same side. The Bush-era Republicans and Bernie Sanders are on the same side within the Democratic Party. You think Bernie Sanders did the right thing and said, hey, you know what? That's ridiculous. Why are they going after Trump? They went after me for being part of a Russian plot also. No, he didn't say that. The Supreme Court upholds Arizona's restrictions. This is NPR. So that's a second Supreme Court victory. Then there's a federal court victory in Ohio with Trump Republicans being able to pass tax cuts. And you have the Supreme Court. So I'll just read you. Congressional Democrats' years-long attempt to nail down whether then-President Trump lied to Special Counsel Robert Mueller effectively ended on Friday, with the U.S. Supreme Court wiping away court decisions where the House Judiciary Committee was told it could access secret grand jury records from key witnesses in the Mueller investigation. They want to simply extract every single ounce of political utility on a story that was completely invented. They couldn't get Trump on Russia. They couldn't get him on his tax returns. So they're now going after him for paying for his CFO's grandchildren's tuition. They couldn't get him on Trump Russia, so then they said, oh, well, maybe he lied. Maybe he obstructed justice. That's why we couldn't pin him down, because he obstructed justice. There wasn't even a predicate crime. Watergate started with a break-in. Clinton had private servers. Watergate was a failed, Whitewater was a failed land deal. Kelly Loeffler and Richard Burr sold stocks right before the economic downturn last year. Like, what did Trump do aside from win? Aside from defeat Clinton? Nothing. He didn't do anything other than, like, you can dislike Trump. You can say he's a horrible president. You can say that you can't stand his personality. He's a despicable human being. But you can't lie about the crimes he committed, or the crimes that he allegedly committed, the ones you made up in your apoplectic mind. You can't make that up, because guess what? Your sensibilities, you can't turn them into reality. You can't, create this liberal, like, wizardry and then just, create these these fictitious crimes that he actually didn't commit, but because you've willed them into being, he did something wrong somehow, and you have to ruin the lives of everyone around him, and you have to, if you investigate him, and then you can't find anything, well, then he lied during the investigation. Don't you understand? You can't find anything on Trump, so he must have lied. It wasn't you that fabricated everything, Democrats. It wasn't you that made up Trump Russia. He lied. He lied about it. That's why you couldn't find the link between the Putin and the Kremlin and Trump. And you used the dossier that was complete nonsense, the epitome of false news. The people who lied the most are the intrepid journalists who perpetuated myths around Trump. He never said the 1930s and 1940s Germans were fine people. He literally never said this. When you point that out, they say, look at the transcript. Yes, look at the transcript. He never said that. It was like, for 4 years, it was this unruly, angry middle school class, and the substitute teacher was the Orange Menace. And all they were doing was trying to catch the Orange Menace in something he said. You see, he said that. He said, you see. And it was like, no, you're fabricating everything. These are the same people, by the way, who make so much money talking about how they oppose prejudice, while at the same time the $20 million venture capital people, just to let you know, have a discrimination lawsuit that they're battling. You better believe they're battling it in court. You better believe when it comes to them doing something against the law, potentially, possibly linked to prejudice, you better believe that when it comes to money, honey, all of that lofty idealism on the left goes right out the window. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. This is the third legal victory. This is the second Supreme Court victory, third legal victory in like 3 days. Share this segment.